size revolution.
Plus size, small size, tall size, any size. Be your own kind of beautiful. Be your own kind of beautiful.
It's
Be
the
your own
size
kind of beautiful.
revolution.
Hi everybody, this is Jamila J, and welcome to Jamila J Plus Size Revolution. And you may ask, what is the plus size revolution? Is it just for plus size ladies? It's for everybody. You can have a plus size heart, you can have a plus size testimony, you can have a plus size spirit. And today my guest is Miss Jessica Johnson. She's a model, she's a mom, and a wife, but she has an awesome testimony. She lived a life of sex trafficking and prostitution, and now she's a minister. Welcome to the show, Jessica.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You have a fantastic, I say fantastic because people can relate to your story. There's a lot of girls that may be experiencing what you have experienced or have experienced. Tell me a little bit about how you got into prostitution.
My family, my home was kind of broken. My dad and my mom divorced. We moved. My dad was in the service. We traveled a lot. We moved a lot. So when he moved from Atlanta, Georgia to Hawaii, and then I lived in Canada for a little bit, and then moved to Oregon, it just got really rough with my father and I's relationship.
Where was your mother?
She's in Japan.
So at what age was your mother not around? When did she leave?
I was 6 years old.
You were 6 years old when your mother left and
Yes.
she went back to Japan?
And yes.
Did she say why, or how did she just up and leave her family?
Well, in the Asian culture, we kind of stick together. Because my dad is from Trinidad and Tobago, it was a lot of controversy with my mom's mom, which is my grandmother, and her being married to my father. So it was a lot of tension. And then from my mom's perspective, I guess my father was abusive verbally and sometimes physically. Of course, I don't really know the full in-depth of my parents of this why they divorced, but that did take a lot of toll on me because I am half Asian and I don't really know the Japanese culture. But I grew up with my dad, and one day we came home and she just disappeared, left.
You have siblings?
I have two half sisters, one by my mom and one by my dad, and then I have one full brother.
Okay. So let's fast forward a little bit. How did the broken home, I mean, a lot of us come from a broken home, divorced parents, single parent, mother or father, but how did that lead you into prostitution?
I was struggling to be cared and loved for, and I know that my father did the best that he can to raise my brother and I, but he was always gone flying. He's a captain for American Airlines now.
He's a pilot?
Yes. So he was always gone traveling, and the time that he did stay home with us, we didn't really have that one-on-one with him. We didn't.
But who cared for you while your dad was, basically?
My stepmom.
Oh, on the road. Okay, your stepmother.
But there was no real true bond.
Right.
So when he would go and fly away, it was kind of more like, in my perspective, it seemed like it was always about her.
Okay.
And we was always shipped off to our grandmothers every Christmas, every summer. So there was really no foundation of family.
Right.
And I seeked that. I wanted it. I yearned for it. So at 16, I got tired of my father verbally and emotionally abusing me. And I ran away from home in Portland, Oregon. And then I ended up on 82nd Max Station, which is a stop where public transportation is used. So it's like a train that we call the Max. And at 16, I had all my bags and some man just walked up on me, oh, you're beautiful, you're this, and, you know, told me everything that of course, you wanted to hear at that time at 16.
But at 16, you packed your bags. What was your intent? Were you going to go stay with your grandmother, or you thought you would just make it on your own?
Well, I also got tired of my father telling me when you're 18, you're going to leave the house,
okay.
type of ordeal,
right.
you know, and though sometimes he says he didn't say that, but, you know, you don't forget things as a child. And my dad spoke it upon me. You was going to be, you know, you're going to be a whore, you're going to be a slut, you're going to be a prostitute.
That's what your dad said at 16?
At 14 it started.
Oh, wow. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
He spoke it over me. Oh, if you don't get your act right. And I know now that his intentions really was is to say, if you dress like this or if you act like this, you're going to become this. That's how people are going to treat you. But as a child, you take it as your father is saying that you're going to be a slut or a whore or a prostitute. And then when it did occur and a man forced me into it at 16, 17 years old, you know, it was very damaging. You know?
So let's go back to the train station or the transportation, public transportation. You're there at 16 with all your bags, and what was your intent? What were you planning on doing?
To be honest, at that time, I didn't have any plans or anything. I just felt in my little 16-year-old mind that anything's got to be better than being at home.
Hold on to that. We have a commercial break, and we're going to talk about like your first job. I want to know what that was like.
Okay.
Thank you.
Be your own kind of beautiful. Be your own kind of beautiful.
It's
Be your own kind of beautiful.
revolution.
And what I intend on doing with this project is being transparent, being open, and helping people be free from a lot of the things that held me back. At the young age of 7 years old,
where were you when I was 5? All I do was win. All I do was win. I got the history of this nation, yes.
Would you look at God? All that He's done for you. Would you look at God? Told you I'm a beast. I'm like David and Goliath in the streets.
You ain't gotta know me. I'ma keep it OG. Only G-O-D. Fear God on me.
Hey y'all, it's your boy, Icy Jones, representing Las Vegas, Nevada, 702. And I want to talk to you guys about the industry. Yes, this is a new television show. Gonna be blasted on a big network. Coming up real soon. We need you guys to submit your best videos so you can be on the countdown.
I just feel like can't nobody stop. Yeah, I just talked to God and he got. Yeah. Don't get the pic, let me paint it. I know a man who came to the earth in the form of a man. Thorns on his head, holes in his hands. I know you won't understand.
Yeah, the industry is hosted by me, Icy Jones. It's going up in a major way. We want all of you unsigned artists, all you independent artists on the grind to submit your music so you can be on the industry. Yes, it's going up in a major way. Listen, if your music is too church for the streets,
Came up extra dirty, Lord, I need that mercy. Devil want me buried, make my visions blurry.
and too street for the church,
I'ma dream big, real crazy. That's just how God made me, yeah. I'ma dream big, real crazy. That's just how God made me.
fit right in that. We need you, especially to submit your music, whether it's rhythm and praise, whether it's Christian hip hop. Let's get you on in there, man, and get your videos on the countdown on our new up and coming show.
If the Lord didn't take control, I would be so cold at it. I would be so cold at it. Yeah, I would be so cold at it.
The industry, yes, is going up. I'm trying to tell y'all, let's go.
Look at my face and see cold at it.
So excited, alright? Once again, the industry, submit your music now so you can be chosen to be on our new television show. the industry. And I'm out.
It's the plus size revolution.
Plus size, small size, tall size, any size. Be your own kind of beautiful. Be your own kind of beautiful.
It's
Be
the
your
plus
own kind
size
of beautiful.
revolution.
Hi, welcome back to Jamila J Plus Size Revolution. I'm here with model Jessica Johnson. She lived a life of prostitution and sex trafficking, and she's going to tell us about her very first John. What was that experience like?
It was very scary.
What do you mean?
It was scary because I didn't really understand the lifestyle of being a prostitute, you know? I was in 82nd, which is a street in Portland, Oregon, where girls used to walk up. Sometimes they do, very rarely now. But when I had John, you know, call me to do services, you know, I didn't know what to expect. But when you see $1,200 in front of you at 16, you're like, oh my gosh.
So, I mean, did you have a pimp, or did the pimp set you up with this John, or how did he groom you into this lifestyle? I guess
it wasn't gracefully. It was actually very. It was gracefully until he needed me to make him his money, and he didn't tell me how or what or anything like that. When I said no, I'm not gonna have sex with random men, then that's when the abusive came in.
But before then, he was very nice.
It was nice, and you know, oh, you're pretty, and you're this, and we could do this, and you've got potential, and you know, what do you want to do when you grow up? Those type of things. And when I said I wanted to be a model, he took that. I was like, well, you know, it's just like modeling, but a little bit different, you know, and you know, it's a lot of brainwashing.
So how did he introduce you to this first John?
I was on 82nd. He put me out there, and I didn't want to, and he slapped me. And then I knew, I was like, okay, now I really don't know what to do. He seen a John call for me, and he gave me the nod, go, go, go. And I didn't know what to do because, you know, I was like, well, if I don't go, this man or this pimp's gonna beat me. And if I go with this dude, I don't know what's gonna happen. But my pimp would follow me everywhere I go, each call, until he felt I was equipped for the lifestyle to do it on my own.
What was that first John like?
It was very degrading. It's very degrading. Now that I think about it, it was very horrible. You know, it's pretty much like being raped, but without the force. You don't want to do it, but you do it anyways.
Why do you do it?
Because I didn't know anything else, and
You couldn't say no. You couldn't go back home.
I was scared because I felt like if I go home, my dad would not accept me, you know? And then I felt like if I said no, then he would just have his way. Who's here to help me and protect me? And then at the time, I didn't have a phone, so who am I gonna call? And I felt like I was trapped in a situation to where I just said, whatever. I just didn't care. I think that's the moment I just really felt helpless and hopeless and useless. And at that moment, I just didn't care. You know, I'm like, if this is what my life is going to be, then I just don't care anymore. My dad don't care. My mom don't care. My mom and dad don't care. Who's going to care for me?
And you were only 16. So that was the first, and you were 16. From 16 to what age did you prostitute?
16 all the way to 26 years old.
So 10 years.
16 to 19, I had a pimp. From 19 to 26, I did it on my own.
Wow. How'd you do it on your own, Jessica?
Because I knew the lifestyle. I got equipped on the streets. I learned how the Johns were. I learned how the pimps were. I learned how the prostitutes. I learned that lifestyle, as they call it, the game.
Right.
And when I learned that, I realized, I was like, if I don't get out of this, I'm going to end up dead. But I didn't realize that after 3 years, from 16 to 19, it became addiction because it's the psychological part of it. And I was addicted to the money, not the sex.
How much money would you make in a night when you were basically doing it on your own? without a pimp?
Oh, on my own, I would make thousands of money. I would easily come home with 3,000-4,000 easily.
So were you on the street? Were you like a call girl?
I went from being in the streets to webcamming to stripping to eventually I would have my own what we call an in-call location. So you get like an apartment or a townhouse or something really nice. Mm-hmm. And what I would do is I'd make each room pretty much like what we call a brothel. Mm. So massage, fetish, just typical one-on-one.
So you like a madam?
I did have females working for me too. When I did have girls. Oh, do you have a place? Do you have an in-call? Yeah, I got an in-call. But if you want to use my in-call, I need this from you after each call. And that'll, it's safe, it's protected, it's, that's how I was. And I looked at it like, well, why not? I didn't look at myself as a madam because I was doing it as well.
Right.
But when I think about it, even though I put myself out there, yeah, I guess you can kind of say I was being a madam. And I just looked at it as we're all a bunch of prostitutes trying to make a living.
Right, trying to help each other and support each other without
having a pimp
yeah.
beating on us and taking our money or forcing drugs on us, and that's what I was thinking of, not the fact that, oh, I'm a madam. It was more of the fact that, if I could help her and I know that she's safe, and if I'm in a call, I know that she's there, it's safe. Right. And sometimes we might be able to get more out of a John.
Right.
These two girl shows, all these
survive. Little. I wanted you to tell me a little bit about being beaten.
That was the most. I've actually got a scar in my inner thigh about this big, and I didn't want to do something. I didn't want to see a John that was on meth.
Wow. Hold that thought. We're going to go to a commercial break.
Okay.
And I want to know a little bit about that. Thank you. I know this is hard. Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. But it's also part of healing, Some things I never really talked about. So when I do talk about it, it's like, well, people don't ask it.
Yeah.
Small size, tall size, any size. Be your own kind of beautiful. Be your own kind of beautiful. Be your own kind of beautiful.
And what I intend on doing with this project is being transparent, being open, and helping people be free from a lot of the things that held me back. At the young age of 7 years old.
Where were you when I was 5? All I do was win. All I do was win. I got the history of this nation, yes.
Plus size, small size, tall size, any size. Be your own kind of beautiful. Be your own kind of beautiful. Be your own kind of beautiful.
Hey, we're here with Jessica. She's telling us her testimony, and I just want to know about the beatings. And is it very prevalent in the sex trafficking
It's what
world?
we call guerrilla pimping. And what that means is that you have a pimp that's aggressive, forcefully. They brainwash you mentally, they tear you down emotionally, and physically it's just bad. Because I remember times where if I didn't make a quota, I'd get punched in the face, and my nose would just be dripping. I remember a time where I didn't make his quota one night, and he just beat me, and I was just to the point where I was like, if you're just gonna do it, just Lord, take me, And though I didn't really believe in God then, but I just felt like I just want to die.
But if you're beaten and you're bruised and your nose is bloody, how do you go out there and make money?
Well, you learn how to manipulate your Johns.
What do you mean?
There was times when I would go out there and do this, and I'd lie and be like, can you please help me? I'm trying to get away from this pimp, or can you give me extra? I've got kids, and at the time I didn't have kids, or you you learn to lie to keep yourself safe from this pimp. I mean, I got trapped in closets. I was malnutrition, you know, those big candles with, you know, 4 or 5 wicks in it. I've had that thrown in my face.
Oh my God.
You know, I've had 2 cuts, one in my inner thigh, one in my lower back. I've been stabbed, cut, and bruises from head to toe. Wow. There's times where I can't even stand up because I'm so much in pain. Wow. You know, but that beating intimidates you, you become fearful, and the question is always, well, why don't you leave? Well, you're scared.
You know what, I had a question because you listed a lot of things. What about the correlation between porn and prostitution?
Well, there's a big difference between pornography and prostitution. Prostitution, well, it depends on each female and how she conducts her lifestyle as a prostitute. I myself, I literally was a call girl. I'd post ads. I'm pretty sure you guys know Backpage, Craigslist, Euros, City Vibe, all those places where girls could post. I became a call girl. So what I did was I created this own image and how I wanted to be. So it's pretty much like people would say split personalities. Yeah, yeah. But you have to in this lifestyle. To survive. It's so damaging psychologically and emotionally and physically, you know. And the part that's really hard the most is how people view you and how people judge you, and you know, they look at you one way. But prostitutes, we conduct our own business. Right, right. We don't have to have a percentage here, and we pick and choose what sexual contact we choose to have with each person. Did you venture out into porn? That was my question. I've had people ask me to do it. To be honest, I've had this guy named Tim. He was actually a John. I seen him as a John, but he was a very high-end type of dude where we had these boards called TNA and stuff where Johns and prostitutes would go and post, and they do reviews, like we do reviews in hotels and stuff. Really? Oh my! It was. You're kidding? No, I'm dead serious. Like, and if you had bad reviews, Johns didn't want to see you. What? If you had a pimp, they didn't want to see you. Wow. So, to answer your question, Tim was a John that I've seen, and he created the Northwest Bad Girls to pretty much build these prostitutes and make them bigger than what they were, you know, and he, you know, you do little scene clips, you know, whether it's blowing a guy, like a promo, or pretty much a promo to show the guys of the Johns that you're real. So I got to thinking about it, and I was like, I don't think I want to do this because I don't want my whole entire. It's bad enough I'm already a prostitute, right? You know, and I don't have anything against the girls that do porn. That's fine. That's their business. It's their body. I totally get it because I know that lifestyle, but I just couldn't. That's more exploitation. Yeah, it is. You know, and I couldn't do that, and I didn't want to do that. But once it did help me in my business though, because you know these Johns were like, oh my God, and you get paid more. Right. But eventually, that money can't heal your pain.
Jessica, I want to know about the drug use in the prostitution world. Is it a lot of drug use to kind of numb the pain, or what would you say about that?
From 16 to about 19, I didn't do any drugs. I did it sober-minded. Wow. So you have to understand, from a child to 19, the psychological and the emotional part of it, being a prostitute, doing it soberly, and the things and the heinous things that these men would want a young girl to do. It's despicable. But from 19 to 26, I think what really made me smoke marijuana, though it is legal nowadays, what really made me want to do it was because it was like I kind of just try to bury Jessica, bury her. So, you know, with the lifestyle of being a prostitute and everyone thinking it's, you know, because of the music and, you know, things that we listen to is garbage. So, you know, I used to call myself Mahealani Banks, was my alter ego. And she was one bad chick. Couldn't tell her nothing. I had this whole alter ego. Like literally, people thought that was me. You know, and then when I'm home alone, you know, because you're sobbing and you're crying, because you're like, man, I just wish everybody liked my Hey Alani, but nobody knew Jessica.
Wow, wow. I know there's so much more to the story, and we're just kind of just touching the surface because you went from prostitution to a wife and a mother.
Yes.
And now you're doing ministry. So I would like to open the door to invite you back because I feel like there's so many other girls that need to hear your story and that anything is possible. You can get out the life. You can get away from the drugs, away from the pimps, away from the beatings.
Yes.
And I see you as being relatable to other girls. So I know you want to talk about your Changing Soul Ministries. And there's so much to talk about, but I'm going to invite you back. The door is open for you, Jessica. And I just thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'm so appreciative.
Oh, thank you.
And God continue to bless you and your babies. She has twins and a husband and
I got three boys. Matthew 7, the twins is 2, Tristan and Christian, and they're symbolic for trust in Christ. And they're my children, is my victory to how I found Jesus. So
plus your husband, that's another one. So you have 4 boys. So
supposed to be
you.
a man now.
Yeah, I'll invite you back anytime.
Well, yes, I'll be more than glad to come
God
back.
bless you.
Thank you.
Be your own kind of beautiful. Be your own kind of beautiful.
Jessica Johnson is a 32-year-old mother, wife, and now she's on the road to becoming a minister. How many girls are out there being sex trafficked, prostitution, being prostitutes, porn? I mean, the whole sex industry is filled with Jessicas. But Jessica gives us hope. She gives us another opportunity to do something different. With her faith in God, with her faith in herself, she has transformed her life. And I just want to tell the other Jessicas there is hope.
Plus size, small size, tall size, any size. Be your own kind of beautiful. Be your own kind of beautiful. Be your own kind of beautiful.
And what I intend on doing with this project is being transparent, being open, and helping people be free from a lot of the things that held me back. At the young age of 7 years old.
Where were you when I was 5? All I do was